Alhamdulillah, I am really very grateful to the YouTube, and my heart is full of thankfulness to the googlechrome.com. Good evening, dear reverend brothers and sisters. And today I'm going to talk about influence of modernism on both humankind and literature. So let's discuss. At first, a background. The whole study of English literature was deeply shaken by very few phenomena. Among them, modernism is one of the best. For example, the Norma conquest in 1066, the Renaissance in early 15th and 16th century, the Reformation in the same year, the 18th century Enlightenment, then Romanticism, and finally Modernism. So all these have a great influence on English literature. Out of this phenomena, which have the little influence on literature, art and culture, modernism stands supreme, although comes late. Truly speaking, modernism has become such an important issue in terms of literature that there is no literature in this planet that is separated from modernism, rather connected to it. So the entire study of English literature must be found in modernism, as it's a concept, so it should get our most attention. Now, influence of modernism on humankind. The two biggest world wars and their aftermath changed the traditional way of life. It shook man's sense of security, comfort, and wealth. As a result, the Victorian peace and order was no more. Unrest and violence became very common. A sense of faithlessness, hopelessness, disintegration, existentialism, uncertainty, insecurity, alienation, etc., was observed in every sphere of human life. People could remain no faith on institution, religion, and nothing. On the other hand, a tendency to search for identity became the main target of a modern man. Who am I and what is my position in the society? This question tremendously shook all over the modern life. A sense of humanism, where you see human being is the predominance of humanism, was also found in this modern period. Socialism had a great impact on the English life and thought. Class feeling became very dominant. Although all these characteristics are found in the Renaissance Enlightenment, but following this modern period, then influence of modernism on literature. We know very well a prominent feature of modernism is the phenomenon called the avant-garde, a military metaphor advanced guard, that is a small group of artists and authors who deliberately undertake either a pound phrase to make it new. They set out in order to create ever new artistic forms and style and to introduce the neglected and sometimes forbidden subject matters. As humankind is closely related to literature, so all these things have found artistic expression in the modern literature. Remember the year 1922, Aluna signalized by the simultaneous appearance of such monuments of um, uh, monuments of modernist innovation as James Joyce Ulysses, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, Virginia Woolf's Jacob's Rooms, as well as many other experimental works of literature. In addition, in Greek or Roman period, we see order, blank verse in the Elizabethan age, poetry in the Romantic period, discipline in the Victorian age, but in this modern period we get things from apart, and no fixed discipline is followed in writing poetry, drama, novels, etc. No harmony in the past, poetry is a free verse. Besides, the catastrophe of the war had shaken faith in the continuity of the Western civilization and raised doubts about the adequacy of traditional literary modes to represent harsh reality. In the Westland, we see in the Westland by T.S. Eliot, we see spiritual dryness of human love. There is no harmony in man's love. Everything becomes business-like because with the influence of mechanical development, man also become artificial. T.S. Eliot's broken sentences are the symbols of disintegration that reflect his personal loss and faith as well as attitude to this modern life, society and civilization. Look, before modernism, natural, natural landscape was their subject matter, but with the advent of modernism, they are migrating from rural life to urban life that is full of slum literature. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for your cooperation and coordination.